All right, 6:01, let's kick it off. So welcome. This is the first webinar style event we've ever done, so I'm pleased you could join us. Tonight is all about Navexa 3.0, and this is a substantial redesign and reimagining of our portfolio tracker. Before we continue, please feel free to use the live chat during the session. Tom's going to collect any questions that come up along the way, which I'll answer at the end Q&A session. I believe Zoom's also got a Q&A function, so feel free to click on that and put questions in there as well. We'll get to those at the end. So why redesign and rethink something thousands of people already enjoy and find value in? And that's simple, really. Building a portfolio tracker, to be blunt, is really, really hard. We deal with huge amounts of data, complex calculations, and many types and layers of integrations. I'm not going to bore you with the technicalities of what it takes to create and run a service like ours. The point is, it's taken us years to get Navexa to where it is today, able to provide comprehensive performance tracking for investors at a similar level to the much larger, more established providers. But I never started Navexa to offer a similar service to others, which is why tonight I'm really excited to finally be able to share with you what I know is a major step, not just for us, but for you in terms of what's possible with tracking, analyzing, and optimizing investment performance. So before I dive in, two things. First, no matter how long you've been tracking with us and whether you pay for Navexa or not, thank you for trusting us with your portfolio tracking. I know and understand what a complex thing it is to trust a platform to accurately measure your investments. Your support and feedback, and I know we say this often, but that's because it's true, are literally the reason why Navexa has got to where it is today. And second, I want to give you a quick overview of what we'll be sharing tonight. So to explain where we're going, we need to explain how we got here. So first of all, I'll give you a short history of Navexa's evolution today. Then I'm going to show you our redesign and reimagined new iteration of Navexa. There's a lot to show you. I'll walk you through the philosophy and the logic that have driven the changes, what's changed, what's remained the same or similar, plus some all new reports and tools we've created and added to the mix. Once we've done that, I know we're going to have some questions, so I'll answer as many as I can in the time we have. Then I'm going to make you an offer you hopefully can't refuse. Obviously, we're serious about helping as many people as possible track their portfolio in the best possible way. So to close out tonight's launch, we'll be making a generous offer to you to help you take full advantage of everything we're making available with Navexa 3.0. All right, let's get into it. I always shudder when I see this image. This was a Facebook marketing image we had up for Navexa 1.0. So this is the very first version of Navexa. Now, I'm sure most of you have never seen this. Some of the OGs might recognize it, but this was the first version of Navexa that I launched. It was basic performance tracking for ASX stocks. There was no tax reporting. There was no broker integrations. There was just a generic portfolio file uploader and adding trades manually. And it didn't even handle corporate actions like splits or consolidations, which was one of the first major hurdles I hit when developing this product. So the first version showed me very quickly how complex and intricate investment performance tracking really was. So we quickly developed Navexa 2.0, which is what you have been using currently today, is where we added US markets like the NYSE and NASDAQ. We added crypto, we added cash accounts, corporate actions, we handle mergers and demergers and all that fun stuff. We built out our contract note importer for various Australian brokers. We built specific file importers for Australian brokers and some overseas brokers. We built out our tax reporting and optimization to an extremely advanced level. So we cover all the usual strategies like FIFO and LIFO, all the way through to full manual parcel allocation. We also further developed our mobile app, which is available on iOS and Android, which was quite a feat at the time. And there's definite room that we can grow in a more mobile portfolio tracking space as well. And most importantly, we started collaborating closely with customers, all of you guys. And I've had extensive chats with so many of you over the last few years, which has really helped get Navexa 2.0 to where it is today. And another area we launched Navexa Pro, which is a product targeting financial professionals like accountants and advisors and family offices and that kind of thing. And this phase of the platform really brought Navexa level, if not slightly better than most of the other performance tracking solutions available. So, Navexa 3.0. Let's get in there and take a look. So I'm running this in dark mode, which is my personal favorite. If you didn't know we had a dark mode, you can get to it up in the settings up here. But excuse me for using this if you prefer the light mode. So anyway, the first thing you're going to notice is this is the portfolio screen. So it looks similar to what's there today, but with a few key differences. So you'll notice the left navigation is now gone, and we've replaced that with a single navigation bar along the top, which is, I've personally found much easier to navigate with and much more streamlined. We've also moved the portfolio selector up to the top left so that you can change portfolio by clicking there. And the top menu is also sticky. So wherever you are on the page, you can always see which portfolio that you are looking at. One of the big changes of the portfolio screen is this top section. So we have the 5 metrics that you've always been able to see, but now these metrics are clickable. So if we click on capital gain, for example, the chart is now updated so you can see your chart of capital gain performance versus your benchmark's capital gain performance. Similarly, if we click income return, you can now see the benchmark's income return versus your portfolio's income return. So you can now really drill into each of these key metrics that are essential to every investor to understand. A very interesting one is the currency gain performance. So for those of you investing in foreign markets, you can now see the currency performance over time, which is something that I've personally always wanted to see, but never been able to in my own product. So here it is. Another cool aspect of the charts is you can toggle from percent to dollar return. So for example, we're still on currency gain, and you can see over time that at one point we were down nearly 6,000 on this particular portfolio, and now it's up positive 9,700 in currency alone. So that really gives you a sense over time how it's performing. And similarly, you can click capital gain and see your capital gains over time, your income return over time, and that kind of thing as well. Scrolling down the holdings list, so this is largely the same. We've tidied up the buttons here because the buttons before were not only not very informative of what they did, a lot of people just completely missed that they were there. So here's the currency toggle. So for those of you who didn't know who have foreign investments, by default, everything's displayed in your base currency. So this portfolio is AUD. And you can see in here we have an Apple holding and a Tesla holding, which are US stocks. So this $46,000 capital gain is reported in AUD. But if you click this and toggle to local dollars, we can now see that the USD holdings are broken out into their own section, and you can see the capital gains and all the income return and that kind of thing in their local currency. So now you can really compare apples with apples without that currency component factored in. I'll just quickly put that back to AUD. Another couple of things. So we have the show sold holdings and hide sold holdings selector. So this simply, you'll see in this portfolio, we have a holding here with a 0 quantity, which means we sold it all. If I toggle that to hide sold holdings, it simply just hides that from the list, but it's still factored into the calculations at this point. columns. If you click columns, it opens the column chooser and you can turn on various columns that we offer. And similarly, you can export to an Excel file or a PDF. So those options are a bit tidied up. So one area on this page that is a major enhancement, and that is now running throughout the entire product, is this filter system. So up until now, I'll just reset that back. We'll have a look at that. Up until now, you've always been able to view your portfolio in its entirety, and you can never really drill down other than clicking into individual holdings and taking a look. Now with the filter, we can filter by a number of metrics. So if I click filter, then sector, this will show us all the sectors that this portfolio is currently invested in. Let's take a look at financials. Click the button, and now this whole page is filtered just down to our financial sector holdings. So we can see all of these holdings are from our financial sector. All the charts now show just performance for this financial sector. You can click capital gain and see your financial sector performance against the benchmark. And similarly, you can add multiple filters as well. So maybe we want to see financials and consumer discretionary. We can apply it and add them both. And now you can see, I think, which one? Tesla was in consumer discretionary. So now you can see it all in the one spot. Now, the cool thing is as you scroll down, you can see these stick to the top. So at every time or at any time, wherever you are on the page, you can see up here what date range you're looking at, which filters you have selected, and a couple of the other toggles as well. So then if we click through to, say, our diversification report, you'll see that the filters are sticky and have followed us through to this particular section. And now we're looking at the portfolio diversification report, just filtered down to financials and consumer discretionary. So we can click the X, that'll take it away. Now it just shows financials, click it again, all of the filters are gone, and now we can view the whole portfolio. So the filter system, and I'm going to talk a lot about this as we go through the report because it's the most exciting thing I've built into Navexa in a long time. And even personally looking at my own portfolio for the last 4 or 5 weeks, the filter system has been amazing and unlocked new ideas even for myself to view my own investments. One last thing on this page before we move on, the positions toggle. So now you can toggle between all positions and open positions only directly here on most pages. So before, that setting was buried in the portfolio calculation settings, whereas now you can quickly switch between it, and that's going to be on every page that we have as well. So let's jump into a new report we have called benchmark analysis. Now, this report replaces our older performance report. That's currently what you have access to today. So what we found in talking with customers is that only really this top section was useful to people. Before, we had a holdings list underneath, which was essentially a cut down duplicate of what was on your overview screen. So instead, we've replaced that holdings list with these 2 new list chart panels. And what they show you on here is, on the left, all of these holdings are outperforming the benchmark. On the right, all of these holdings are underperforming the benchmark. And again, up here, you can see your portfolio. So this test portfolio I have, capital gainer, versus the SCW ETF benchmark. The other cool thing is you can now click these metrics as well. So if we just want to compare our portfolio's capital gain with the benchmark's capital gain, we can do that. We can see it on the chart. And now the outperformers and underperformers are just factoring in capital gain as the definition of whether they're outperforming or underperforming. If you're a dividend investor, for example, this becomes super powerful when you change to the income return section, because now you can see which holdings you have outperforming the benchmark in terms of income return, and which things are underperforming. So straight away at a glance with these charts, you can see that these 5 holdings are underperforming. They're all pretty similarly sized. And underperforming down here, you've got a whole stack of them. So if you were an income investor exclusively, you could perhaps make some decisions here on maybe I need to cut some of these and get more of these, or whatever your strategy lends itself to. The other cool thing as well is you can change the grouping option. So we can look at sector, for example, and you can see if we look at capital gain, we can see, cool, these sectors in our portfolio are outperforming and these sectors are underperforming, sorry. So really, again, at a glance, without even diving or digging into that data line by line, you can quickly see which sectors are doing well for me and which sectors are not. And this grouping works for everything. So you can use your custom groups, all the various metrics that you've been able to use before, sector, industry, exchange, currency, that kind of thing as well. So again, the filter system comes into play here. So if we go back to holdings, let's say we want to benchmark just our financials sector again. We'll add a financials filter, click the button, and now we can see all of our financial sector metrics benchmarked against STW. And we can now see within the financial sector, these things are outperforming the benchmark and these ones are underperforming the benchmark. So you'll get the idea as we go through all the other pages that the filter system becomes extremely powerful. And I'll stop talking about it for now, but there will be more. I apologize. So I'll clear that off and we'll move on to another report and have a look at some new features. So income contribution. So this report is already available today and many of you use it quite a lot. It's one of our most used reports. This report simply shows you which holdings in your portfolio are contributing income. So dividends, or if you're a crypto investor, where your staking rewards and that kind of thing are coming from. The new features we've added to this page is you've now got some different chart options. So we've got the bar, which we've always had. You can now select pie and visualize it as a pie. And I know with this many options, a pie chart is not very useful. But if you're looking at a sector or a portfolio with fewer holdings, that becomes quite useful. So if we change over to sector, you now get a pie chart of your sector. You can see that financial sector dominates this portfolio in terms of income. Another new chart we've added is a Sankey chart. So for those of you not familiar with a Sankey chart, it's kind of like a flow chart that shows the magnitudes of something between point A and point B. So in this example, we can see that our financial sector is a huge magnitude of the income flowing down into our capital gainer portfolio. And then the other sectors are much smaller in terms of what they're contributing in terms of income. So again, filter systems here. I'll let you play with that once you get your hands on it. Let's jump now to a brand new report called the income calendar. So this report replaces our current upcoming dividends report. The upcoming dividends report was okay, but it was quite limited in that we could only show you the dividend data we knew that you were going to get from the registries. The awesome thing with this report is that we now estimate dividends into the future. So the way we're estimating at the moment is we take the dividends the company's paid out the last 12 months. We assume they're going to be the same, and then we apply it and estimate the dividends 12 months into the future. Now, of course, dividends from companies change all the time. Sometimes they pay more of a dividend, sometimes less, sometimes they start paying a dividend, sometimes they stop paying a dividend. So this really is an indication or a guide or an estimate, of course, of what income you're going to get over the next 12 months. So in this chart, you can see the solid green part of this bar is dividends that we know for sure you're going to get because we've got that data from the registry already. The striped green bars are what we've estimated. So this chart kind of gives you an idea that March is going to be pretty good next year. July and September are going to be good as well. And if you scroll down, we tag each dividend with estimated for the ones that we've estimated, and without the badge are ones we know you're getting for sure. And so as you scroll down, you can kind of see in January, I'm going to get $1,089. These are the estimated 3 ETFs that are going to pay me that income, and so on. So I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on this report, because I know there's going to be a lot of feedback and a lot of opinions on what we can display here. There's already a few ideas kicking about of extra information we could have here, like dividend yield and that kind of thing. So if you don't, this is a good moment to talk about, if you don't know about our feedback website, which is feedback.navexa.io, that's where all the feature requests from you guys need to go. You can go there and you can upvote on features, and we look at that all the time. I'm in there pretty much every day. So if you see a feature in there you like, make sure you upvote it, because if it gets a lot of upvotes, we're definitely going to build it. So for each one of these things you're seeing tonight, feel free to jump on that website, put in any feature requests, and we can continue the chat over there. All right, let's keep moving. So I'm going to talk quickly about a couple of tax features. So for those of you who don't know, this is our tax overview page. And we released this only a few months ago, right before tax time, with the idea that it helps you get tax ready for that financial year. So you can see over here, there's a little checklist of all the things that are looking good. And in this case, there's 41 dividend transactions that need confirming. So you can click on there, it'll show you the list and you can confirm them. And then you become tax ready, which will indicates to you that if you generate a tax report now, you should be good to go. So if you haven't seen that already, give that a check out as well. But the thing I wanted to show you was the unrealized gains report. So this report is available today on certain subscriptions. And what this report does is simulate liquidating your entire portfolio on the given date. So it defaults to today. So if we sold everything in this portfolio today, we'd realize a $100,000-ish capital gain. Now, this has been useful for if you need to, say, cash out some money out of your portfolio. You might be buying a car or buying a house or whatever it might be, and you want to do it in the most tax efficient way possible. But the problem with this report is it's not often that you're liquidating your entire portfolio. So when you're looking at a large portfolio like this, there's a lot of trades and transactions to be scrolling through to figure out what you should do. So this report is another area where the filtering system really comes into its own. So say I'm sick of my Apple holding, for example. So if we filter this report down to our Apple holding, and we give it a second to think about what it's doing, it now calculates the unrealized gain based off just that Apple holding. So now we can see, oh, okay, cool. So it'll be $47,000 minus the Australian 50% CGT discount. So it'll be a $23,000 capital gain that I'd need to pay tax on. Or similarly, maybe you're completely sick of maybe you're sick of the US and you want to sell all of your US holdings. Perhaps you could filter currency by USD, which will take a look at all of your holdings that you have with the currency of USD. And you go, cool. So if I sold all my US stuff, I'm looking at a $47,500 capital gain. So this is another great example of where the filter system has come in, taken something we already have, and now made it extremely powerful and much easier to use than before, where you had to do a hell of a lot of digging. So that's kind of that report. Now, for the people with a keen eye, you will have noticed there's one section up the top that we haven't looked at yet, which is the overview. So the overview page is where this whole redesign began. And I'm going to take you to the overview page. I'm going to talk about the philosophy behind what's on the page and why, and then we'll get into the detail of it and go from there. So let's jump in. So I'll give you a quick scan of what it looks like, and then I'll start from the top and we'll work our way down, and we'll get into how it all works. So similar to the portfolio screen, we still have the 5 main metrics up the top and the chart. Now, the reason these are here and they're front and center is that no matter what kind of investor you are, whether you're focused on capital gain, whether you're focused on dividends, or whether you're investing in foreign assets or local assets, these metrics really underpin how you're going. So your capital gain, obviously, most of you will know what that is. Super important to be tracking. But some of the lesser metrics that people aren't tracking, which really is a blind spot in their performance, is income return and currency gain and total return. So the income return is, what is the return you're making from dividends, which is, if you've ever just tracked performance out of a broker account, you'll see your Comsecs and all of those, they don't report anything about dividends. So you completely miss a huge piece of the picture if you're not looking at that. And likewise, currency gains. So if you're an Australian investor invested in the US or vice versa, you need to know what the currency impact is on your investments, because otherwise you could end up selling at a very poor time when the currency is not in your favor, or you can buy at a great time when the currency is about to be in your favor and actually make return off the currency. So that's why these 5 metrics are still at the top with the chart. Let's scroll down and take a look at these 4 new panels. So I'll give a quick overview on all 4, and then we'll drill in on each one. So the first panel is the holding performance panel. So this shows you your top 10 performing holdings for the given date range. There's a few metrics you can choose from, so capital gain, total return, and total value. And you can also toggle between dollar return and percentage return as well. Then on the right panel here, we've got what I call the category performance. So at the moment, it's displaying sector performance, but again, you can change it to exchange or by industry or by your custom groups as well. And that will show you your top 10 sectors or industries or whatever it is you're looking there. We look at the bottom left panel. This is the income return panel. So this shows you the individual holdings and their income return. So that's dividend income or things like staking rewards if you have crypto. And then in the bottom right here, we have our diversification panel. So this shows you by sector or holding or industry or whatever metric you want to select, the weighting in your portfolio. So let's zoom back a little bit, and I'll explain why these 4 things are on the page. So when you're monitoring the performance of any portfolio, there's some fundamental things that apply basically across the board, regardless of whatever your strategy is. That's obviously capital gains. People love their capital gains. I love my capital gains. So of course, we're going to track that. Then we have sector performance, or that next level above holdings. So whether it's sector or industry or custom groups or however you want to look at it, viewing performance across a broader grouping of holdings is really important. And then down the bottom in the diversification panel, we've all heard about diversification and the pros of it and the cons of it, but without being able to quickly see and visualize it, you can quickly end up overweight in certain sectors or certain industries before you even realize it. And so we wanted to not only have all your investments just in one place, but we wanted you to have all the key data you need about your investments on a single screen for immediate understanding. So at a glance, you could log in on a particular week or particular month and quickly see in this portfolio, for example, wow, we've got a 52% weighting in financials. And the way we've displayed it with this bar chart behind the list, you can see the magnitude of that financial sector versus the other sectors, the other sector weightings underneath. And interestingly, while seeing financials as a heavy weight in this portfolio, looking up here, you can see that the information technology sector is by far outperforming everything by a huge magnitude. So if this were a real portfolio, which it isn't, and I should have said this at the top of the call, but none of this is recommendations or financial advice on what to do. But you could straight away deduce from this that, hang on, maybe if information technology sector is performing that well, why am I so heavyweight in financials down here? So all this data was accessible before in the various reports. So you could click into your diversification report and have a look at that. And then you could click into the contributions report and have a look at that. But the problem was, and I had this problem myself, is that you have to keep all of this information in your head while you jump through the different reports. So you go, oh, what was that? What was my second heavyweight sector again? While I'm looking at sector performance in the contributions report. And that's where it got really tricky. So this allows you to see it all at once and make decisions really quickly. Now, when you first come to this page and you land on here, there's going to be a banner at the top, and it's going to ask you if you want to make this your new homepage for Navexa. And if you say yes, when you log into Navexa, you'll come here. If you say no, it'll be the portfolio page that you go to, just like you do in Navexa 2.0 today. So we know there'll be a lot of people who prefer the more classic way of looking at their portfolio. And then a lot of other people like myself who prefer this more higher level view of a portfolio. So given that option to change between the two, in the settings, you can go in there and change it at any time as well. So don't be worried if you click the wrong option on the banner. Just go up to settings, click on your account settings here, and there's an option in there to change your Navexa homepage. So that kind of brings us to the end of the demonstration part. And I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on this. You guys will wonder when you get access to this. So our plan is that it's going to be available for Monday morning. So in a few days, that gives us time just to prepare few last minute things, get all of our help documentation in order and that kind of thing. And then we will release it at some point over the weekend. I won't tell you exactly when, but it will be available Monday morning when you log in. So for those of you who are keen, just check it out on the weekend every now and then until you see the update. So let's jump into a Q&A. So I think Tom's just sent me a whole bunch of questions that I will try and get through now. Okay, so the first question was, does the filter system work with ETFs? So yes, so the filter system, which is basically on every page, you can filter by anything you could possibly imagine, really. So you can go into holding and you can add individual holdings. I think there's some ETFs in here, so you could select that one, and maybe there's VUs in there, so you can filter by ETFs that way. Otherwise, there isn't a specific option to say, just show me ETFs versus non-ETFs, but I like that idea. So that somebody please put that on the feedback website, just so we don't lose that idea, and we'll get that implemented. The next question, any plans for diversification report for ETFs? So I think I know what you mean by this one. So one of the fun things about ETFs is that they come with a whole bunch of holdings inside, which is the pro of ETFs. It's also the con, because that data is really difficult to get your hands on. The good news is I am working on a way to get the data. Unfortunately, a lot of the funds don't keep that holdings list up to date. Some of them just publish once at the end of the financial year what the top 10 holdings were, and they don't even give you the full information. So I've got a pretty interesting way of getting the data, which needs to be implemented, but I can see how powerful that would be if you could say, show me my VAS ETF, now break it down and see all the holdings underneath it. So I don't think that feature request is on the feedback site, so definitely feel free to go chuck it up there and we can continue the chat over there as well. Next question is, will the sectors track ETFs, i.e. VAS obviously takes in a lot of sectors. Okay, so not yet. So that will be once we get access to the data. So at the moment, ETFs kind of just get lumped under diversified financials as a sector. So when you filter by sector diversified financials, that'll get all your ETFs. But when you have some ETFs that are like global ETFs and they have some US things and some UK things and Australian, that's when it gets tricky to start filtering by that. How are we doing for time? Cool. Let me move on. So will the open positions hold every time I log in? Yes, it absolutely will. I know there were a bunch of really annoying UX bugs like that where different reports would default to different date ranges. All of that stuff's all fixed. If you select it, set it to open positions only, for example, that is remembered. So if we go to, say, the contributions report, you can see that option still there. Next time you log in, it's still going to be there as well. So we definitely fix that. Okay. Can you set a cash account to track interest as income and part of overall returns? So that's an interesting question because we did kind of release that feature and we rolled it back a few weeks ago. So you can now record interest received in your cash accounts. And we are working on a way that shows up as income performance on the cash account, but it's not available just yet. But that is a powerful feature that we want to include because particularly with the current economic climate, a lot of people have a bunch of cash that they're wanting to track performance of. So we definitely will get to this. For the overview page, can we revert layout back to what you currently have in Navexa 2.0? So like I mentioned, it's an opt-in. So you can either have this portfolio screen as the default, which it will be, or you can opt in to the overview to be your default. Now, we did in Navexa 2.0 have the trading view as well. So as part of this release, we're actually dropping support for the trading view because not many people used it and it was quite clunky, becoming difficult to maintain. So in order to keep the quality of the product really high, we trimmed out a few of these things that weren't getting used much and that were being a bit of a pain to keep running. So I apologize for anyone who was using the trading view, but we're about to drop support for that trading view shortly. All right, let me look in the Q&A tab. We've got a bunch of stuff here. I'll quickly power through a few of these. Will all ticker icons be added? I'd love to have all the ticker icons added. They're really tricky to get a hold of. We're going to be doing an update for the ETFs soon. So the ETFs will just have their fund logo. So like your Vanguard ones will have the Vanguard logo and that kind of thing. So we will get to that. What else have we got? The graphs, when I click on a ticker from the portfolio view, isn't adjusted for splits. Yes, you're talking about the pricing chart. That's still not updated, so it's not adjusted for splits yet. But please do put a feature request on the feedback website. If we can get enough interest in that, that's something we'll look at getting a data feed for. That would be very helpful. With the large portfolio, is it possible to lock headings like you would lock the top row in Excel? So that's a good question. You will have noticed maybe that as I scroll now, the headings of the holdings list are stuck to the top. So we can be right down deep in the list and still see that this is capital gain. This is our total return. So that should make it way easier when you're deep down in a list of a bunch of trades or 50 holdings or whatever it might be. Somebody's asking, is capital gain reports now work for USD portfolios? So No, we don't provide tax reporting yet for USD portfolios. That is a feature we'll look at in the future, but we haven't, until we kind of establish ourselves more in the US, it's not something on the agenda in the short term. So if you're an Australian investor, however, with US holdings, then you're best to have those US holdings in your AUD portfolio so that you can do your tax reporting. Next question, any possibility to add columns to a screen view, e.g. if I wanted to see a column for foreign tax withheld on the dividends page? No, so you can add columns on the portfolio page to this section, but that's currently the only list configurable. But I do like that idea. I think that'd be quite useful, particularly for people who are in foreign investing and they like seeing that particular column. So again, please chuck that on the feedback website as a feature request. Next one is, I find it difficult to use tax printouts as the print is small. Also, matching information to the ATO online tax form is confusing. So I don't know, that was from Richard. I don't know, Richard, if you've seen our new ATO My Tax report. So that has all of the codes for the income report. We've also named these capital gain fields exactly as they are on the ATO form. And for those of you who have done some serious capital gain, the ATO form asks you for a breakdown. You can click on this and it gives you the breakdown that you also need to enter into the ATO form as well. So this portfolio is not a very good example because there's no capital gains for that financial year, but definitely check that out. All right. What else have we got in here? So somebody asked, what will be available in the free versus paid version? So the paywall has largely stayed the same. So the free plan doesn't get access to any of the reporting in either the performance or the tax reporting. You will get the new overview page and the portfolio page. So you'll be able to see some of that data at a high level. And again, it's restricted to 10 holdings as well. So that's how the paywall is set up at the moment. Nigel's asking, is there an ability to print the screen to PDF? Currently in V2, print on the overview page does not print well. I have to do multiple screen captures. Unfortunately, we have not looked at that area of printing a screen, but again, please put that on the feedback website. I'd love to get other people's opinions and upvotes on that one to see how common that is. You can export the list to PDF here on the holding screen, the portfolio detail screen, sorry, and that'll output it all into a PDF for you. But if that PDF's not good enough, like definitely put some details in the feedback requests so that we can help you out. Are there any updates to the mobile version? So we try and make our website as responsive as we can as you get onto smaller screen sizes. For really small, we don't really optimize for that because we have our app as well, which I know has less features than our main website, but we're looking at improving the app as well. So yes, hopefully that answers your question. Oh, this is a good one. Will other foreign exchanges be added in the future, e.g. the LSE, European exchanges, etc.? So yes, I have plans to add the LSE and Canadian exchanges. We're going to be adding end of day data for those very shortly. So we've just got access to data feeds for those. It now just simply, we need to load the database with the holdings from those markets, and then you'll be able to add them and you'll get end of day pricing. So it won't be 20-minute delayed like our ASX data is, but it'll be pretty good for those people tracking foreign investments. We've got a few more minutes. I'll get through a couple of questions and then we'll get to the special offer I talked about at the top of the call. What are the custom groups at the filter? Can't that be tailored for ETFs? Very good point. Yes, you could. So you could create a custom group, put your ETFs in a particular category, and then you'd be able to filter by that category. So that's a great solution for if you want to break out ETFs like that. This question, is there any way we can split automatically by asset class, or at least make it easier to assign a holding to a particular asset class? So I think this is around assigning the classification, like the sectors. Well, I know we have had a feedback request for the ability to add custom classifications. So I know with ETFs in particular, because they get lumped into diversified financials, that's not very useful if you know, oh, this ETF is actually an S&P 500 tracker. Why can't you classify it as whatever you want, or like some kind of US category? That is a feature on our radar that we're going to add is custom classifications. I know you can kind of do some similar stuff with custom groups, but we do really want to provide that feature as well. So that should hopefully make it easier. We don't currently have a way of kind of bulk assigning classifications. That is a good idea. I like that one. Again, feedback website for any of this stuff. That's where we can kind of keep track of all of it. Let me get through a couple more. Any chance of having a daily update price for gold and silver? Now, this one I've had a few times lately, so we'll definitely be looking for a data feed for that. I think, again, in these economic times, a lot of people are moving into different asset classes like gold, so that would be a good one. Any plans to implement the stuff into the mobile app? Yes, absolutely. I want the filter system in the mobile app. I use the mobile app, and there's features I want in it as well. So it's just a matter of prioritizing. And when I get to the offer in a second, we'll kind of explain how that's all going to work. I think, just to respect everyone's time, I think I'll end the Q&A there. As always, if you have questions I haven't answered, definitely, if they're feature requests, put them on the feedback website. If it's general help you need with setting up a portfolio or particular scenarios, then email us at info@navexa.io. Also on the website, there's the usual feedback box right at the bottom of the page that creates a support ticket. There's also the help widget in the bottom right of the page. There's a help link at the top right of the page. So we try and make it as easy as possible for you to raise support tickets if you need them. Our goal is that you don't need to raise a support ticket because everything's so easy and everything works perfectly. But if you have to, there are the options to do it. Cool. So we jump back to the slides. All right. So the offer. So as you can see, this latest version of Navexa is a significant step up on what we've had to date. We've essentially spent the past couple of months taking this from like a pretty good tracker for everyday investors to a professional level performance analytics tool that rivals, if not surpasses, what many financial professionals have access to today. Now, as I said at the start of the presentation, we have an offer for you to mark the occasion. So I'm going to be blunt here. We're a long way from the most popular portfolio tracker in the market. Our competition is significantly bigger than us, despite not having many of the tools that we have, particularly now that we're upgrading to 3.0. So while we could offer you some token discount code or something like that, we've decided to do something a bit different. We're going to give you 6 months access to Navexa 3.0 with zero charge. So for existing customers, you'll get 6 months account credit. For new customers, we'll give you 6 months free access. All we ask in return is that you help us spread the word about Navexa 3.0. And you can do that by sharing a screenshot and writing a post about Navexa on the social media platform of your choice. So whether it's Facebook, Reddit, Hot Copper, Twitter, wherever you hang out online with other investors, as of right now, we're on a mission to spread the word about Navexa and connect as many investors as possible with the tools we've built to help them better manage their investments and build better portfolios. So like I said earlier, we'll be launching Navexa 3.0 for Monday morning when you log in. Give the page a refresh and you'll have access. This offer is going to apply all through next week. So we'll email you when we're officially live, and we'll remind you about this offer and what you need to do. And all you have to do is share your post, send us a screenshot. Once we confirm, we'll credit your account. And plus, the post that creates the most buzz about Navexa, we're going to award a free lifetime subscription to that creator. So I'm really excited to see who that's going to be. So that's it from us tonight. I really hope you've enjoyed this live event, and I absolutely can't wait for you to get your hands on Navexa 3.0. I've had the privilege of building it and being able to use it the last few weeks, and I'm really keen for you to get your hands on it, see what you think, and keep that feedback coming, and we can make the product even better than what it is. So really hope you've enjoyed this event, and thanks for joining us.